When Mercedes-Benz introduced the M116 V8 engine in 1969, it wasn't just adding another power plant to its lineup, it was the time when they set an entirely new benchmark for whole automotive reliability. At a time when engines often struggled past 100,000 miles without significant issues, the M116 made endurance look effortless. This 3.5-liter V8, first seen in the 300 SEL 3.5, produced 200 PS, 147 kilowatts, and 286 newton-meters of torque, enough to propel the 1,575-kilogram sedan to 200 kilometers per hour. Yet what impressed people wasn't just its performance, it was how consistently it delivered that performance year after year, decade after decade. This is the story of the remarkable M116 engine. Let's get started. Mercedes engineers designed it with a cast-iron block and aluminum cylinder heads, a combination that blended strength and lightness perfectly. The 9.5-to-1 compression ratio gave it lively response, while Bosch's Digitronic fuel injection system provided remarkable precision for the era. Even more impressive was the refinement. The M116 ran so smoothly that journalists often remarked it felt electrically powered compared to the gruffness of rival V8s from Jaguar or Cadillac. Reliability wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate obsession. Every internal component, from its hardened crankshaft to the precisely balanced pistons, was over-engineered. It wasn't uncommon for these engines to surpass 300,000 miles without major mechanical failure, and many examples still run today with minimal internal work. The hydraulic lifters reduced valve maintenance, and the timing chain system, though later improved, kept the valve train in perfect sync. But what truly made the M116 legendary was how it evolved. The same core design powered a wide range of Mercedes models, from the W108 sedans to the W116 S-Class and even the sporty R107 SLs. Its larger sibling, the M117, took the same DNA and pushed it to 5.6 liters and beyond, all while retaining the same bulletproof dependability. In an age where engines were often the weakest link, Mercedes created one that became its strongest selling point of that time. And the M116 wasn't just reliable because of luck, it was reliable because of its design philosophy. Next, let's talk about how the M116's innovative design and engineering philosophy made this reliability possible. Engineering precision. Mercedes-Benz engineers built it as if they were creating a lifetime companion rather than a mere engine. The structure started with a 90-degree V8 layout, inherently balanced for smooth operation. The early engines used a cast-iron block, chosen for its rigidity and heat tolerance. Later models shifted to an aluminum block from 1978 onward, dropping significant weight without losing strength. Thanks to improved metallurgy and tighter casting tolerances, each part of the M116 had a clear purpose. The single overhead camshaft with 2 valves per cylinder might sound modest compared to the double overhead designs of competitors, but that simplicity was intentional. Fewer moving parts meant fewer potential failures. The hydraulic lifters automatically adjusted valve clearance, virtually eliminating the need for periodic tuning. That was revolutionary in an era when most V8s needed regular maintenance just to stay in tune. The Bosch Digitronic fuel injection system played a huge role too. Earlier versions, like the Digitronic introduced in 1969, used electronic sensors to meter fuel precisely, improving efficiency and throttle response. By the late 70s, Mercedes transitioned to the Digitronic system, a purely mechanical setup that proved more durable and easier to service. It was so reliable that many engines using it still start and idle smoothly today with minimal maintenance. Then came the famous double-row timing chain, introduced after early single-row chains in the 3.8-liter M116 showed weakness. The change solved the issue permanently, turning one of the engine's only soft spots into a showcase of how Mercedes never ignored a problem. They engineered it out of existence. Attention to detail extended even to cooling and lubrication. The M116 used a high-capacity oil pump and efficient coolant routing that kept operating temperatures consistent, even in high-speed Autobahn runs or desert heat. This consistency prevented warping and wear, which is the silent killer of most engines. Everything about the M116's construction spoke of a marvelous engineering era. It wasn't just an engine built to run, it was built to last beyond expectation. But before we go any further, if you're one of the thousands of car lovers who keep coming back for classic engine stories without subscribing, it's time to join the garage. Hit that subscribe button and help us keep bringing legendary engines videos. Now let's see how this engineering excellence translated into real-world performance. Real-world performance. When the M116 hit the road, it didn't just meet expectations, it reshaped what luxury performance meant. In the early 70s, most luxury cars leaned on heavy displacement to feel powerful. The M116, however, showed that efficiency and refinement could coexist with muscle. The 3.5-liter version delivered 200 PS, 147 kilowatts, at 5,800 RPM, and 286 Newton-meters of torque at 4,000 RPM, figures that outpaced most of its European rivals. But more importantly, it delivered that power with the seamless smoothness of a turbine. Drivers quickly noticed that the M116 didn't strain. Whether in a 300 SEL or a 350 SE, it accelerated effortlessly, maintaining composure and silence even at Autobahn speeds. The automatic 4G-tronic transmission complemented the engine's power band perfectly, keeping revs low and the cabin serene. And thanks to its even torque curve, overtaking on highways became more about a gentle squeeze of the throttle than flooring it. When the displacement grew to 3.8 and later 4.2 liters, the engine's behavior didn't just scale up, it evolved. The 4.2-liter M116.965, introduced in 1986, produced up to 231 PS and 310 Nm of torque, pushing the W126S class to nearly 230 kilometers per hour. In North America, it maintained its reputation for smooth, predictable performance. Even with emissions tuning that reduced output slightly, yet the feeling remained the same: confident, unflappable, and unhurried. Journalists at the time called the engine overbuilt for its power, a compliment that reflected its effortless capability. Tests showed that M116-powered sedans could cruise for hours at 180 kilometers per hour without fluctuation in temperature or oil pressure, something few contemporaries could match. Fuel economy wasn't its strong suit, of course, with real-world figures hovering between 12 to 18 liters per 100 kilometers depending on driving style, but that was the trade-off for unmatched endurance and refinement. And that shows us how Mercedes engineers weren't just chasing efficiency medals. What they actually chased was mechanical immortality. Now it's time to explore how the M116's design evolution shaped its successor. Evolution into the M117. The M116 didn't evolve quietly, it spawned a powerhouse. Mercedes-Benz engineers took everything that worked in the M116 and amplified it, giving rise to the legendary M117. While the M116 topped out at 4.2 liters, the M117 stretched that design to a mighty 5.6 liters, becoming the beating heart of some of Mercedes' most celebrated machines. The M117 started life in 1972 as a 4.5-liter engine for the US market, offering smoother torque delivery to counter stricter emissions rules. And by the mid-1980s, it had evolved into the 5.6-liter M117.968, the star of the 560 SEL, 560 SEC, and 560 SL. With outputs ranging from 180 kilowatts in emissions-restricted versions to 220 kilowatts in high-compression European variants, this engine placed Mercedes back at the top of the luxury performance hierarchy. In its most powerful form, it delivered 455 Newton-meters of torque, a level that made the W126 glide like a freight train dressed in silk. The high-output ECE version of the 560 could sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 6.8 seconds. Impressive for a near 1.9-ton luxury car. It wasn't just about numbers, though. The M117's refinement stood out. Its deep, subdued V8 tone and flawless, idle-defined, understated power. While BMW was boasting its new V12 in the E32.7 series, Mercedes countered with the 560's effortless authority. This evolution wasn't merely about power gains, it was about adaptability. Mercedes developed three distinct variants: the ECE for performance, the RUF, retrofit catalyst, for flexibility, and the KAT for emissions compliance. The post-1987 updates brought 10-to-1 compression ratio and NOx sensors, enabling higher efficiency without compromising longevity. Even the detuned versions for the US, Japan, and Australia, hovering around 180 kilowatts, maintain the same smooth, reliable essence. Despite growing complexity, Mercedes never lost sight of what made the M116 so good: mechanical honesty. Every change to the M117, from improved cam profiles to the Trio-I exhaust manifolds, was grounded in reliability and performance balance. The M117 proved that even in an age of emissions controls and economic pressure, Mercedes could build engines that felt alive, invincible, and impeccably engineered. And now let's compare and see how the M116 engine stood out against one of the best of its time. In the 1970s and 80s, Mercedes wasn't the only brand building V8 engines, but the M116 made competitors look like they were still figuring out the basics. For instance, if you compare it with BMW's M30 inline-six or Jaguar's XK engine. Both were fine performers, but they required regular tuning and had higher maintenance demands. The M116, meanwhile, could run for hundreds of thousands of miles with only routine servicing. And the American V8s from the same period, like GM's 350 or Ford's Windsor, also offered big torque, but they mostly relied on carburetors and looser tolerances. Mercedes V8, by contrast, felt surgical. Its precision machining meant tighter clearances, smoother idle, and fewer leaks. Things Detroit engines struggled with at the time. Even when emissions laws started strangling power in the late 70s, the M116 kept its composure. Another point of distinction was balance. The M116's compact size made it lighter and more efficient than many V8s of similar output. Even the reviewers from Road and Track and Automotor on Sport often described it as effortlessly strong, a phrase few cars of that size had earned. Perhaps the biggest proof of its engineering edge came from endurance records. Fleet operators and long-distance drivers consistently logged hundreds of thousands of kilometers on original engines. Mechanics reported compression readings that barely changed after years of use, a sign of meticulous design and materials. Next, let's see how the M116's relentless reliability played out in the world of racing. From endurance to the extreme, while the M116 made its name in luxury sedans and coupes for unmatched reliability, its close cousin, the M117 V8, proved that the same engineering principles could survive and even triumph under the most punishing rally conditions. The M116's 3.5, 3.8, and 4.2-liter engines shared the same 90-degree SOHC V8 architecture as the M117 family. But when displacement was pushed to 4.5 and 5.0 liters, Mercedes had a powerhouse capable of endurance racing glory. The rally stars were the 450 SLC and 500 SLC C107 chassis, Grand Tourer coupes that seemed unlikely candidates for grueling off-road events. The results spoke for themselves. In 1978, the 450 SLC dominated the Vuelta a la América del Sur, finishing first, second, third, fourth, sixth, and ninth over a punishing 28,592 kilometers route across 10 countries. The following year, a 450 SLC 5.0 swept the Rally Bandama Côte d'Ivoire with a perfect 1-2-3-4 finish. By 1980, the 500 SLC Rally claimed yet another victory at the same event, cementing the reputation of Mercedes Form 8s in endurance competition. These achievements marked a historic first, a V8-powered automatic transmission car conquering World Rally Championship events. What's fascinating is how these racing successes underline the M116's design philosophy. The M116 didn't need to leave the track to prove its durability. It was built into its very DNA. By examining the M117's rally triumphs, we see the same commitment to over-engineering, thermal stability, and mechanical balance that made the M116 legendary for daily reliability. Next, let's see how Mercedes managed to balance that legendary reliability with surprising performance and refinement. Performance meets precision, the M116's balanced power delivery. Reliability alone doesn't make a great engine. It's how that durability translates into usable, confident power that seals the deal. And the M116 delivered performance with the kind of precision that felt effortless rather than showy. Mercedes engineers never chased raw horsepower numbers. They focused on power you could actually use every day, in all conditions, without drama. For instance, let's take the original 3.5-liter M116.980 V8 introduced in 1969. It made 200 PS, 197 horsepower, and 286 Newton-meters of torque, modest on paper today. But in its time, it was one of the smoothest and most responsive engines in a luxury sedan. The torque came early, peaking around 4,000 RPM, giving the 300 SEL 3.5 a confident surge of acceleration rather than a frantic sprint. That was Mercedes' approach: strength over flash, confidence over chaos. Later variants, the 3.8-liter M116.960 and 4.2-liter M116.965 carried the same philosophy but with evolving technology. The 3.8-liter produced 156 horsepower and 266 Newton-meters, while the 4.2-liter, refined by 1986, offered up to 231 PS and 310 Nm depending on market. Despite stricter emissions controls and heavier cars, performance stayed consistent because of Mercedes' attention to fuel delivery, compression ratios, and ignition timing. The 4G-tronic transmission it paired with shifted like silk, translating every bit of power into seamless motion. Even at high speeds, refinement remained exceptional. The M116's firing order and balanced crank design meant minimal vibration, while hydraulic engine mounts absorbed the rest. That's why the W116 and W126 cruised at 200 kilometers per hour as easily as they idled at a stoplight. Both felt equally calm. Now let's talk about how the M116 shaped the future of Mercedes-Benz engines and where that spirit lives on today. The M116's lasting legacy and what's next for Mercedes engineering. When the M116's production ended in 1991, it wasn't a farewell. It was a passing of the torch. Mercedes-Benz had proven that performance and reliability could coexist, and that philosophy became the foundation for every engine that followed. The M116's DNA is still visible in Mercedes' modern power plants, even the high-tech AMG units and hybrid systems we see today. Its successor, the M119, built directly on the M116's strengths. The move to double overhead cams and 4 valves per cylinder brought higher revs and cleaner combustion, but the core values, smooth delivery, over-engineering, and unmatched durability, stayed intact. The M116 taught Mercedes that true luxury isn't just leather and chrome, it's mechanical confidence. That lesson never left the company's blueprint. You can still feel the M116's spirit in how modern Mercedes engines handle stress. The modular M276 and M177 engines, for example, use precision timing chains, low-friction internals, and advanced fuel injection. All ideas seeded by the M116 decades earlier. Even the latest inline sixes with integrated starter generators nod to the same goal: make performance effortless and long-lasting. What's fascinating is how the reliability-first mindset has adapted to today's hybrid and electric future. Mercedes engineers still benchmark endurance, testing engines and motors for thousands of continuous hours, just as they once did with the M116. The technology has evolved, but the obsession with consistency hasn't changed. Collectors and restorers now treat M116-powered cars as milestones. Whether it's a 350 SE or a 420 SEL, these engines represent an era when engineering came before marketing. They remind us that progress doesn't always mean starting over. Sometimes it means perfecting what already works. And as Mercedes moves into electric propulsion with its EQ series, the question isn't whether the M116's legacy will fade, it's how that same spirit of precision and reliability will redefine what long-lasting means in the age of silent powertrains. The story that began with the M116 is still being written, just with different tools under the hood. And that's all from the legacy of the Honda S600 decades later. The M116 still continues to inspire admiration from collectors, enthusiasts, and engineers alike. A reminder that meticulous craftsmanship and over-engineering create machines that stand the test of time. Whether powering sedans, coupes, or influencing its rally-capable cousin, the M117, the M116's legacy lives on in every Mercedes that values precision, endurance, and timeless engineering brilliance. So which classic should we uncover next? And what's your favorite tiny but mighty engine of all time? Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Honda's genius, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of mechanical brilliance. Thanks for watching.